I got you now, and it says we're live.
Heck yeah, we're rocking.
All right. So, sorry for anybody that tried to tune in a few minutes ago, um, but we've got our technical difficulties lined out. Hey, thanks for joining us. I have a very special guest tonight. I've got Mr. Cameron Derr with Hawke Optics, previously with the Exodus Outdoor guys and the former, well, I don't know, but he also was the host of the Deer Gear podcast, which was a podcast I just absolutely love. But Cameron, thanks so much for joining me tonight, buddy.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. Um, you've been a longtime supporter of us at Exodus, so I'm super grateful for everything that you've done, and been a member of the Saddle Cartel group for a while and love what you guys do. So I'm pumped to chat.
Man, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really want to pick your brain on a lot of stuff, and I appreciate you appreciating us. We have a great time here at the cartel, just talking about hunting and the outdoors and saddle gear and arrows and anything else we can get into. But first off, I kind of like to just learn a little bit about my guest and let everybody else know about it. So just tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how you kind of found your love for the outdoors, if you don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. From Northeast Ohio, born and raised. I can throw a stone to Pennsylvania, so I live right on the border. Um, was always a hunter. I say that term loosely. Growing up, I rifle hunted in Pennsylvania every year. I never missed a year, but it was always just 1 week of the season, 2 weeks of the season. I'd go out there to the PA mountains with a rifle, and that was the extent of me hunting. In college, I had a roommate that was a bow hunter, and my dad was always a big bow hunter, and I was always playing sports and stuff and never had the time to dedicate to learning archery and bow hunting. And the day that I graduated college, my graduation gift to myself was a bow. So I went and bought a Matthews Z3 is my first bow. And so I was fresh out of college, like 24, 25 years old, probably 24 years old. Um, and that's really where it took off. It was born inside of me in the PA mountains, and I stuck with that for the first couple years archery hunting. And then I always kind of had a love for the creative side. I would liked taking pictures and filming, and I got an opportunity to film for a small YouTube show called The Tineman. And turns out Exodus was a sponsor of The Tineman at the time, and I was a CPA accountant, and I was living the 9 to 5 life behind the desk, and an internship popped up with Exodus, and I was like, you know what, this is my chance to follow my dreams and be some sort of content creator in the outdoor space. So I took that internship, and here we are today.
Oh, nice. Had you always had a kind of an ambition to get into the outdoor space? Was it something
Um,
always kind of nagging at you?
no, no. It's funny. The creative side for me started with filming weddings. Like I
Oh,
wanted, I saw that you could make a decent living doing that. You can make some money doing it, and I just had a knack for filming, and I was never an editor. I just would film, and I would send the footage off to the guy that owned the company, and he would edit it all, and it just brought me so much joy capturing those moments.
yeah.
And then, but I had a love for hunting and the outdoors, and I was like, man, if I feel this way about capturing someone else's experience, how would I feel about capturing my own? And so like I had the ambition to film a show, like I wanted to film a YouTube show, and then it turned out the Exodus position came open, and um, I just had so much more passion for just being creative that I didn't care what the end result was. So the match with Exodus was perfect.
Yeah. Well, and Jake and I talked about it too, and you and I have talked before, but again, I am so sorry about how everything ended at Exodus. I was such a freaking supporter of you guys. I loved your products, loved your arrows, the podcast, everything that come along with it. And man, I'm terribly torn that it had to end that way. But if people want to know how that happened, of course, you guys put out a kind of like a final podcast on the Exodus podcast that people can go back and listen to. And then Jake and I talked about it a little bit too. But again, my apologies for how all that played out. It was just a game of dirty pool, it sounded like. But
Yeah.
now that that's a previous chapter in your life, you've moved on to Hawke Optics. But before we dive into Hawke, I kind of want to touch back on the Deer Gear podcast. So for those that listen and tune in on that, man, I really want to pick your brain on the arrow stuff because, Exodus began with the cameras, but as you guys progressed, here come the arrow line. So how did the arrow line with Exodus all get started? Where did that come from?
So the idea with Exodus was never to just be a trail camera company. It was Exodus Outdoor Gear.
Mhm.
It kind of got rebranded to Exodus Trail Cameras because that's what we were manufacturing at the time. And then we brought the Arrow line out and we branded it back to Exodus Outdoor Gear. And we just were identifying spaces that the educational content was missing. And in arrows, there just seemed to be a huge gap in educating the consumer on what you are actually buying and how to make an educated purchase. Whether you bought Exodus arrows or not, we just wanted people to buy the right thing because we wanted people to become better hunters and have a better experience, whether that was through content or gear. So we tried to provide both of those things, and um, the arrows were just a really good match for that. So the educational content side of it, because we got Chad and I personally had some pretty bad experiences with what we were shooting, and we started to dive into it and we started to learn more. And we're like, oh, this is why we're having this experience, is because the information being provided is not really accurate, or there's gaps, or it's not applicable to every situation. So we dove into educating ourselves, and Dorge from Fire Knock he was like tremendous impact on whatever knowledge he had inside of that brain of his, which is outstanding. He was willing to share that with us, and then it was kind of the Deer Gear podcast on the arrow side of it was basically me dumbing down Dorge's knowledge so the end consumer can understand better, like what actually makes arrow flight optimal.
Mhm. You did a fantastic job of kind of transforming or translating what he was kind of putting out because you can tell he's like a mad scientist. Like this guy, his brain is on another level when it comes to aerodynamics and aero flight and things like that. So you did a great job of kind of dumbing that down for the guys like me to be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Where did that connection with Dorge come from? How did you get hooked up with him?
Well, funny enough, he lives in the same hometown as Jake.
Okay.
So they already, like, there was already a relationship there. So when we decided the arrow route was something we could do, we just licensed Dorge's technology essentially. So he had Fire Knock, and he has a great product and some absolutely outstanding technology, but he just wasn't able to communicate that to the average person. So that's kind of where I took in with the Deer Gear podcast, and he was so amped up to record that podcast. He loved it. I mean, he still wants to be doing it today, and I was just like, man, I don't have the bandwidth to talk about arrows anymore. But it's not. I'm not trying to sell them, so I just that's not my lane anymore. But the education and what I learned from that is money can't buy it. I mean, it was outstanding for him to even open that up to me and allow me to then pass that on to anyone that wanted to listen to me babble on about the first dynamic bend and all kinds of crazy different technical aero terms.
But I was so oblivious to arrows. It was just you went to the pro shop, you asked, the technician, hey, what do I need to shoot? And he would just hand you a box, cut them, throw in a little freaking 10-cent insert. Like, this is all you need, straight vein, straight three fletch, no helical. And I would shoot, and I got to a point where, and I don't know if it was the bows or what, but I shot a PSE X-Force that I bought in 2008. And man, that thing was a hammer. I was just blowing through deer. And then I switched around 2018. I'd bought the new Matthews Traverse that year. And I could not shoot through a deer to save my life. Like everything I was shooting was just one, right in behind the shoulder in the sweet spot, but I wasn't getting pass throughs. And this is driving me nuts. Why can't I shoot through deer anymore? And that's when I got into it. Admittingly, I started watching the Ranch Fairy, and a lot of it started making sense to me. So I went down the rabbit hole, and I kind of went a little too heavy, probably to begin with. I probably didn't need to be that heavy. I was around 600, 620 greens, but I dialed it back eventually. But it made so much sense once I started really learning about, FOC and mass and energy. And I was like, because I'm a pretty big guy, I have like a 31-inch draw, and I'm shooting like a over 70-pound bow. I was shooting a 340 spine arrow, so I was way underspined.
Yep.
So my arrow flight was terrible. I didn't have enough mass in that little arrow. I mean, it was probably weighing 380 grains, before I learned about it. So, and it made sense. I'm like, well, that makes sense. I don't have enough energy to shoot through these deer. Yeah, my arrow flight was terrible, and I was shooting expandable broadheads, which that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, man, just the arrow stuff. So when I tune into deer gear and listen to you and George, I mean, I geeked out on it. I'm like, I love this stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's good stuff.
I'm willing to bet that if you went back to that original setup and you just changed the spine of the arrow, the weight could have been the same. You just changed the spine of the arrow and you put a fixed blade broadhead on it, you probably would have started getting more pass throughs. What was
Probably.
probably happening was your arrow was so underspined that it wasn't flying straight. So you're
Mhm.
losing energy because the arrow was trying to correct itself. And you weren't impacting straight.
Yep.
So it was way harder to way harder to penetrate. And you put a mechanical broadhead on the side of that takes up some energy. You just had um, a compounding effect there. But if you just changed the spine to do a fixed blade broadhead, I bet you would have seen pass throws, even though the arrow was light.
Yeah, and I agree with that now that I've kind of kept studying and learning that I have kind of dialed back. I'm going to be going in comparison for me because I dialed my bow, I went to 80-pound limbs, but I dialed it back to about 76 pounds draw weight. Still 31 inches, but I'm only going to be around 480 this year in my grain weight. But I mean, as long as I get that good tight flight and I'm hitting that target perpendicular, I mean, I think that thing's going to hammer through stuff, man.
Yeah,
Especially with
that's
going with a good sharp fixed blade. I just don't think you can beat that. I really don't.
what feet per second are you getting out of that? Like, are you above 290?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm right at 300 with that. So.
Yeah. So you got to have everything really dialed in because once you
Oh
get
yeah.
above 290, your aerodynamics really take into effect. And if your form's not right or your arrow's not tuned properly or spine indexed properly, you start getting some pretty crazy things happening.
Yeah, and I've got to be really careful about that too. Being that fast with that light of an arrow and a fixed blade, I may have to go back. I'm not against expandables at all. I think if you're shooting straight and hitting perpendicular and you have the energy, I think an expandable will do its job.
Mhm.
I think it's more about accuracy and the right flight of the arrow, in my opinion. But everybody had, and don't get me wrong, I've been shooting fixed blades for several years now, and I love them. I love the confidence I have in them, and I think I lost my confidence. I shot a really nice 8-pointer, 2018 ish with a swacker, and he was quarter to me, and I was trying to tuck it in that shoulder really tight, but I caught that shoulder bone, and it went in about 3 inches and bent that swacker like a fish hook and just spit it back out. And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
That's when I kind of just changed up everything. But I don't know, man. I'm always tinkering. That's the one thing about bow hunting that I can't settle on is my arrows and my broadheads. I'm always messing with that setup.
Yeah. I got into that, right? I got to that point because we were so in depth with what we were doing and we are trying to figure out what is the best setup. And I went so far down that rabbit hole and was changing so many little things that I've almost come back to I was like, just keep it simple. The
Yeah.
arrows that I built with Dorge's arrow concept and 125 grain fixed blade head, 3 fletchings on the back. I'm not trying to do some crazy I'm not trying to fly a 2-inch fixed blade broadhead. I don't need 4 vanes. And really, practice more on your form, be a better shooter, be a better archer, and you'll eliminate a lot of the variables that you're trying to fix by just becoming a better archer.
Yeah.
A lot of the minimal things that I was trying to do and trying to see, like, am I going to get more rotation, or can I pick up 5 feet per second or whatever? A lot of it could have been fixed if I just was a better shooter.
Yeah, I agree with that. I did want to pick your brain about something. I know you made a video and talked about it or something. I remember, but you see a lot of guys talking about going to a left helical now. But I'm pretty sure to come out with some information that even though that most bows are turning those arrows left out of the bow, that with a right helical, it's still going to correct and start spinning right. Are you still in that train of thought? The right helical is still a fine thing to have.
Yeah, so I shoot a right offset. The I don't shoot a very steep, like 2.5 degree right offset. I don't have a true helical because I'm not shooting a big, long vein. Like to really get a helical, you need a really long fletching. So I'm shooting a 2.5 degree offset, but it is to the right, and there's it's one of those minuscule things that, but if your arrow is clocking to the left, we used a like 10,000 foot per second camera and watched the arrow flight, and we're like, what is happening? And we would watch the arrow, and it would come off left, and it would stall out, and it would almost look like it would knuckleball, and then it would pick up and spin back to the right, with with the right helical or the right
Mhm.
offset. With a left, if it comes off left, it just keeps going left. So the thought is, if you have a bow that's clocking naturally to the left, which is due to the counterclockwise string twist, um, and you can keep it going left, that you're going to maintain more energy. That's
Yeah,
the thought. The flip side of that is if you have a right offset and it's clocking to the left, you're inherently gonna lose something, right? Because it has to stop and then go back. But what we saw was wasn't really measurable. The idea why, and this was an education piece from George, and it's something that it's maybe a mental thing. Um, but if you're twisting your broadhead in, tightening it, you're tightening it to the right,
mhm,
and when you have a arrow that is going to the left, when it hits the target and that broadhead stops and your arrow keeps spinning, you're going to unthread your broadhead. In theory,
in theory.
does that actually happen? I don't know. Is it a possibility? Sure, it is. And when you shoot your field points all the time, you pull them out of the target and you listen to it, the rattle, and you got to tighten them up. It's probably because they're loosening.
Mhm.
Um, so he would always want you to go back to the right because on impact, it's just going to tighten your head. It's not going to thread out.
Get that
So,
twist. Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of the idea behind it. Um, Chad was always along the thought of like, well, my bow wants to shoot left. I'm going to keep it going left. It has nothing to do with if you're right or left-handed. It's all about how your string is twisted. And talking to Tony, we did some testing on that, and we'd have him build some strings that would twist the other way, and we'd clock it. And sure enough, it's just all in how the string is twisted.
Yeah.
You can get your strings twisted to clock right, but you're always going to get peep twist because the thread, the actual fiber that the string is made out of, is counterclockwise twisted. So if you go clockwise, it's going to unwind, and that's why you get peep twist.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Didn't know that. I learned something today. That's
Yep.
cool. Anything else from doors that just you have to let people know about that they need to be aware of? I mean, that guy just had so much information.
Yeah, I think that what it really boils down to is like the arrows and everything that we were making, and I'm going to continue to shoot Dorge's arrows, and I'm going to buy arrows from a Fire Knock dealer. And the main reason why is the spine indexing. When you have all dozen arrows or 2 dozen or 6 arrows or however many arrows you have reacting the same way out of the bow at initial launch, you're going to get the most forgiveness and the best arrow flight possible. You can do that a multitude of ways. You can noctune every single one of your arrows and spend 5 hours doing it, or you can just spine index them or have them built by someone that is spine indexing. That was the number one tool to everything that we were doing. The craftsmanship behind the arrow, weighing out your components, and spine indexing your arrow so you know for sure when you release the arrow, it's going to react the same way as the next arrow, as the next arrow, as the next arrow. So you don't have to go through and say, like, I got 12 arrows, but this one's number one. This one has a one on the fletching because it shoots the best. It's like, no, they're all that way because you index them and built them based off of the way that they're going to react out of the bow.
Yeah, I love it, man. Yeah, that's just something that I can't get enough of is the arrow builds and the broadheads. I don't know. It's an obsession to keep tinkering with those things. I can't get over the hump.
I landed on I'm gonna shoot that Exodus NIS arrow.
I still got
Sorry,
a few of those.
can't buy them anymore, but that's the arrow that I'm gonna hunt with, and it's 450 grains with 125 grain tooth of the arrow broadhead, 4 blade vented, and I'm shooting like 13% FOC, 14% FOC. Um, it's like a 26 1/4 inch arrow because I have a 27 1/2 inch draw length. Um, and I'm shooting like 283 feet per second or something. So I'm below that 290 threshold where things start getting crazy.
Mhm.
But that 450 grain mark, it's such a sweet point. Like I don't think you need more. I just don't.
I don't need it. I like we talked about earlier. I think if you're hitting perpendicular and the air's not coming in on a different plane,
Yep.
I think you'll be fine with it. I really do.
Yeah. The sad part about everything that I learned is a lot of it comes down to the broadhead first and foremost and shot placement. So you can spend all this time building your arrows and knock tuning and weighing out every component, but if you shoot the deer in the hind quarter, like you didn't shoot in the right spot.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to hit those guts or that hind quarter.
Yep.
That'll turn bad for you real quick.
Yep. And stay away from the shoulder. Stay away from the shoulder. Shoot 3 inches back. I mean, if you shoot the deer in the back of the lungs, he's gonna die.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to shoot him in the shoulder.
No, 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 no. I hate the shoulder, man. It scares me to death. I want to be in that pocket or a little behind it. I don't even want to think about going through that shoulder.
I don't ever think about the heart. I'm like, I'm gonna double lung this deer and that's it. And if I
I
shoot
honestly
it,
think a deer will die much quicker if you double lung it versus a heart shot. I really, really do.
yeah, especially in the rut when he's all
Mhm.
beefed up and yeah, just like if you aim back of the lungs and you hit back, you get liver guts, the deer's gonna die. If you hit forward, you're still in the double lungs, the deer's gonna die. If you aim for the heart and you hit forward, you're smack dab in the shoulder. Hopefully you're shooting a 600 grain arrow.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
How do you like those tooth of the arrow broadheads? I've never really talked to anybody that's used them. I'm really curious about them. How they perform for you?
Man, I love them. The testing that we did, and we shot everything. And the testing that we did, they flew the best and penetrated the best. And it's kind of obvious. It's a 1 inch broadhead, so it's tiny. You have a 1 inch cutting diameter. I prefer the vented over the solid. It just flew a little better for me.
Hmm.
But it's gonna penetrate. It's going to. It's a small head. When you think of like the natives when they would go out and hunt big game, they used the smallest field point or smallest broadhead they could because they knew it was going to penetrate. And you want two holes, you need penetration. And if they were hunting small game, they wanted to hit something and knock it out. They would use a big broadhead. So when people get scared of the 1 inch cut, but man, you're going to get two holes, and it has like a coring effect to it, and it leaves a like a wound channel. It's like a hole. It like cores it out, so
Yeah,
you get like a slug gun type wound. And never had an issue with blood. Never had an issue with flight, and never had an issue with penetration.
it's funny you say that. Probably 3 years ago, when the Annihilator first came out, the small one, not the XL, I used that for a season, and I shot a good 10 pointer, 20-yard shot, double lunged him. He never knew he was hit, bro. He ran 10 yards and stood there, and all of a sudden here come the wobbly legs, and he just fell right over him. 10 yards. I'm like, it was almost like he felt like it was so sharp and so fast through him. I really think that's the difference. Is a good sharp smaller head that just blows through quick. They don't. It's almost like they don't feel it. You know what I
Yep,
mean?
yep.
The big 2 inch cut expandables, they can feel that impact, and I think it scares them, and that's why they run so viciously want to get the heck out of there. You're just like, why are they doing that? But it was wild how that little annihilator punched through him. I mean, like butter. He went 10 yards and stood there and just flopped over. I was like, wow, that's impressive. I'd have never imagined that out of that little tiny broadhead because that thing is small.
Yeah, 1 inch. Until something changes or they stop making them or whatever, that's what I'm going to be shooting.
Did you have any whistling from the vented?
No.
No whistling, because I
Nothing.
went with those Iron Wheel 125 vented this past year, and they do whistle, but I really think 30 yards and in, I don't think a deer has time to hear that whistle anyway.
It's nothing measurable. Like they hear the arrow anyway. They hear the veins. Like they hear the fluttering. It was nothing measurable. Sure, a solid one is going to be quieter, but how much? Like it's going to disperse air, and you're going to hear that.
Yeah,
So, they're all going to have some type of noise. So further shots, of course, they're going to have more time to react. I just got better flight out of the vented one, so I went with that.
yeah. I may have to pick up some of those and test them out. I grabbed. I had the. I don't know if you watch any of John Lusk stuff.
Mhm.
So he did a review the other day, and I can't remember the company name. It's a small company out of North Carolina. He reviewed the Wedge, and I contacted that manufacturer, and he sent me one of his broadheads. I'm gonna test it out and do a review on our YouTube channel about it for him.
Sweet.
I'm really curious about this head. I mean, it's a small, good, sharp head, fixed blade. So yeah, I just love tinkering, man. I can't. Like I say, that's just one thing I can't land on.
I'm in the camp where it's not broken right now, so I'm not going to try to fix it.
I totally need to just get in the camp and just pitch my tent. I really do. Cool. Well, let's jump into Hawke Optics. So, admittingly, I'd never heard of Hawke until you said, hey, guys, I'm working for Hawke Optics now. So, I want to know about it. And I know our listeners and our viewers kind of want to know a little bit more about it. So, what can you tell us about Hawke? And I know you guys are, a rifle scope line too. And you can rifle hunt from these saddles, guys, or tree stands or whatever. So don't forget about your rifle scopes. But I know you guys offer binos, rangefinders. So just take us through what Hawke Optics is and the breakdown of that.
Yeah, so Hawke has been producing optics for 28 years. Started in the UK. It's a privately owned company, so pretty cool. It's a father and two sons. So Paul Walker, Stephen and Ashley Walker. They are the sole owners of the company, still kicking over there in the UK. And in the UK, it is the premier optic choice. It is the vortex that is the US. So when you think of optics in the UK, you're just automatically like, I'm just gonna put a Hawke on my gun, or I'm gonna use a Hawke. That is the cutting edge gear over there. So the products are fantastic. Everything is super clear glass, super awesome quality. We just don't have the brand awareness in the US that we do in the UK. So that's kind of the uphill battle that we're facing, and that is why you have not heard of Hawke. That is why I had not heard of Hawke prior to seeing the job application. And it just came as a unique opportunity to me because I thought, here's a company making an awesome product that has a proven product that obviously is the choice of a lot of people. People just don't know about it. So get how do we get more brand awareness? How do we get the product into more people's hands? That is the job of the marketing manager. So I have a super awesome opportunity in front of me, and I took it. So yeah, there's 128 different rifle scopes in the catalog, and then there's an extensive line of binoculars, rangefinders, range finding binoculars, spotting scopes, red dots, reflexes. I mean, we have everything,
Yeah.
anything you can think of, and there's a bunch of different levels of glass, so you want a pair of binos for $100 with a lifetime warranty that you can throw in your truck and beat the hell, and you know that they're going to work. We have that. You want more clear. You're going out west. You want to be able to see, does that deer have a 6-inch G2, or is that just a twig behind it or whatever? You need a super clear image. We have those options for you too. So it's
Right.
basically what do you want, you know? The I've been really, really, really impressed, and the company's great. The owners are great. It just needs to be more people just need to be aware of it, and that's the
Yeah.
only thing that we're facing. It's not often you get that opportunity to get something in front of people that is already proven and is of good quality. It's usually like, well, no one's ever heard of it because it's not that good. This way, it's like no one's ever heard of it just because we've struggled to get in front of the right people.
Yeah. And that was why I wanted to get you on. I mean, I don't think you would back a product without believing in it. And I wanted to get Hawk some exposure because I trust you. I trust if you're going to promote it, then I believe in it too. And like most people, we hadn't heard of Hawk. So I wanted to do my part and just get you guys some exposure and let's get Hawk out there. Let's let people know about it. Because I mean, if it's the vortex of the UK, well, let's make it just as comparable to Vortex here. You know what I mean? Why can't we?
Yeah, and I mean, if you go through the catalog, like apples to apples, oranges to oranges, one of the unique things about Hawk is you're most likely going to find an optic in a similar price range to a competitor and get the same experience. You're going to have the same warranty. You're going to have the same customer service experience, but you're backing a privately owned company if that has the small company feel that isn't
Mhm.
backed by some private equity firm that doesn't care if you have a good experience or not. Like
Yeah,
Hawk is out to make good products so you have a better experience.
and and I don't know if it's just me, but I would rather get behind the small guys, the privately owned companies like Exodus, like you and Chad and Jake, like a Hawk. I don't know. I just feel like why not support those guys that are out there grinding and really working to make something that's going to give you the best performance that they can possibly give you, and you're not just feeding the pocketbooks of the wealthy, so to
Yeah.
speak. To me, I would rather support the small guy. You know what I mean? Because they're the ones out here truly trying to make a difference, and they
Yeah,
really
same.
care. I mean, like you guys said, you offer a lifetime warranty. I mean, that's huge right there in itself. Just to back that thing for a lifetime is fantastic.
Yeah, and at that point, like you can get a rifle scope, a 3x9x40 that's going to do you anything that you want to do with it in our line for under $120. At some trade shows, it was going for $100, $100 scope. Put it on your gun. Anything happens to it for your life, it's covered. So you're getting quality, you're getting value, and you're getting a warranty that like what else do you want it to do?
So I imagine that now that they're trying to get a footprint in the U.S., there's U.S. distributors for Hawk where you don't have to worry about something being shipped from the UK.
No, yeah, we're in. I think there's 1,200 different retail stores across the country that are stocking Hawk right now.
Okay,
You can buy them on Amazon. You can buy them from our website directly. Um, it's out there.
cool.
Some of the unique, like, so I'm super excited about the laser range finding binoculars. I think for a hunter, a mobile hunter, a saddle hunter, it's like the perfect optic.
Oh yeah,
So, how many times have you been in some thick cover or whatever, close to bedding, and pull your binos up, and you're like, okay, is it a shooter? Yeah, it's a shooter, but he's 35 yards away. Now you have to go put the binos down. Okay, I need a range. Now it's like, okay, shooter, one click of a button, range, down, fire.
yeah.
So it eliminates a step. And as a saddle hunter, this niche of hunters is very minimalist. So
Hmm.
you're eliminating a piece of gear that you don't have to carry anymore.
Like it.
Hawk has done a unique thing in the laser range finding arena that they're offering a low power, or we are offering a low power laser range finding binocular. So a lot of the ones out there, like a 12 power, 16 power optic. Well, a standard laser rangefinder is a 6 powered optic because that's easier to hold steady. And
Mm.
when you're trying to get an accurate range, you can't be all over the place because if you go over the deer's back with it, like optical illusion of it, you could actually range 10 yards behind the deer and not know it and shoot over the deer's back. So you need something that you can hold steady. So we make a 8 powered laser range finding bino. Most people are hunting in the eastern United States with an 8x42 and 8x32 binocular. Now you have an 8x42 laser range finding binocular that does everything that you need it to do. It can range out to 2,000 yards if you're going out west. But in my experience and my limited experience with optics, I'm not an expert by any means, but my limited experience is with an 8 powered optic compared to a 10 or a 12 or any higher end, you have a wider field of view, so your peripheral vision is greater. Therefore, it allows more light in because you don't have a small window. So you could have like a 8x42 or a 10x50 and actually have a better crisp clear image out of the 8 power even though the objective is smaller.
Oh,
So just because you're getting more light to the lens.
that makes
um,
sense.
in low light especially, the 8 power is going to be better than the 10 power every time.
Nice. I like it. Well, I'm kind of anxious to get my hands on some of these things, man. I want to try some Hawk stuff out.
Yeah, dude, we got, I mean, there's I don't know, I had some stuff behind me, but I don't have the spotting scope near me. It's in my truck. But we have a spotting scope that's a fantastic option for the Eastern United States guy. It's a 13x39 spotting scope, and it's like this big. It's
What?
it's tiny, dude. It comes with a window mount,
Oh,
so you
perfect.
can. It's a straight spotter, so you can just throw it in the window of your truck. It fits in like the center console. It's a super compact, but
Oh,
I've always had some big honking spotting scope, and it's kind of a pain to take around, so you never end up using it. You spend a bunch of money on it. That it's a Nature Trek 13x39 spotting scope. Doesn't sell for a ton of money, also backed by a lifetime warranty, and it's a thoughtful, useful piece of equipment.
I like it. I like it. So, where can people find Hawk? I mean, you guys have Facebook, Instagram? What do you got going on there where people can kind of follow along and get their hands on some of this stuff?
Yeah, Hawk Optics. I think it's just HAWKE on Facebook. So just Hawk, and then it's hawk.life on Instagram. And then
Yep.
we have the website, hawkoptics.com. We have a YouTube channel where you can learn more. That's going to be something at the forefront of my priorities is getting more content like you're used to seeing on the Exodus channel onto the Hawk channel. So we're
Yeah.
taking that education stance and just letting the people know. You know what I mean? There's a lot to talk about. It's exciting stuff. It's exciting glass. I mean, I hunt a lot in the western portion of the state for whitetails, where in the prairies, and your glass is a very, very, very important piece of equipment. So I'm super excited to work for a company that has things that are useful and thoughtful and solve a problem. There's a lot of products that we have that are actually out there to solve a problem.
Yeah.
So it's exciting, man. It's good stuff. I appreciate you letting me talk about it.
Oh, I'm excited to help get the word out on Hawk. And please, once you start creating this YouTube stuff, I'm sure Trey and the rest of the team will have no qualm with you posting the YouTube link on the Saddle Cartel page. Blast it on there, man. We'll help get behind you and push this thing forward. And anything
Sweet.
we can do at the Saddle Cartel to help, grow this company. I mean, 100%. We got you bags.
I appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, anyone in the group has any questions about getting set up with some optics, whether it's for a rifle, shotgun, or something for the whitetail woods,
Yeah.
just give me a holler.
Sweet. Well, you've heard it there, guys. Cameron's in the cartel, so if you got any questions, just send him a message, and he's always been quick to respond to me. So, moving on from Hawk, I got to ask, what's your experience with the saddle?
Man, I'm a so the Deer Gear podcast started because I was a gear junkie.
Yeah,
And it was to talk about mobile hunting equipment and talk about stuff like that. And as we got into the arrows, it kind of transitioned into archery. But my tinkering happened in the gear side of like how can I make this stick a little lighter? Or how can I make my setup a little lighter? So I'm a I'm a saddle hunter in every form of the word. Um, from the tinkering to caring about weight to anything that goes along with it.
Yeah.
With that said, um, I'm like 40% hunting in a saddle and 60% hunting on the ground.
Well, so did you kind of fall into the saddle game when it kind of hit the big peak like around 2020, or had you been doing it before? Or
Yeah, I started 2019 would have been the first year.
2019? Yeah.
2019 would have been the first year in the saddle, and prior to that, lugging around a giant summit climber.
Yeah.
Almost quit hunting because I was so frustrated with it. Because I knew I had to be mobile. I knew I had to move around, but I was like, I hate doing it. I hate taking this thing around. I would get frustrated every time I'm climbing the tree and making a bunch of noise. Like, I'm never going to kill a deer doing this. And this is never going to happen. And then I started working at Exodus, and Chad was using a saddle at the time. The Tethered had sent us some stuff, and I got in it, and I was like, man, this I could see this is doing some things here. Like this is going to make me way more efficient, way quieter, and I killed my first buck out of a saddle in 2020, and ever since then I was like, dude, this is the way to go.
Oh yeah, man, it's been such a game changer. I could rant for hours on just the love I've found for saddle hunting, and I always tell people, I've been doing this, gosh, and I'm going to age myself, but over 30 years I've been in the woods bow hunting, and had I wished I could have found this 30 years ago, the opportunities I start thinking back on, I'm like, man, if I'd have had this saddle, in this spot or that tree or this tree, I'm like, golly, I could have done some damage today. But
Yeah,
live.
it's and one of the features that's not really sexy to talk about or not really talked a lot about, at least in the content that I'm consuming, is how much safer you feel.
Oh,
Not only that you are, but that you feel. I'm flat out scared of heights. Flat out, man. I don't like being in the air. And I don't hunt super high as it is. Like I'm not gonna be the guy that's 25 feet in a tree.
yeah.
You'll see me 16, 18 at the max. Um, but when I'm in a saddle, like there is no I don't have that fear. I'll sit in a hang on tree stand and quiver, man. Like I have my harness on, but I don't feel it until I'm falling. I
Mhm.
don't have that thing holding me in the tree.
Tension. Yep.
Yeah, until I'm falling. So I'm always in the saddle. I'm always attached to the tree, and I feel that tension. I feel safe, and it just gives me added confidence. It's just something else I don't have to worry about. Tony's the same way. Tony doesn't like heights, and he got in a saddle, and he was like, "Dude, this makes me feel so much safer."
Oh, I know it. Yeah, and I've told the story probably every time I've had a podcast guest on or done a podcast, but that was my biggest qualm with lock-ons or ladders or climbers. I never felt secure enough to stand up and shoot, because once I stood up I felt like I was just doing this motion, so I always shot sitting down, which limited me from about that 12 1 o'clock to about what 6 7. My weak side, I was done. I mean, I wasn't going to stand up and try to turn because I never felt safe. I never felt stable. That's one of the things I love about the saddles, that it's that third point of contact, that tension on that rope, locking you in, and you can just swing around. Once you trust the equipment, man, it's like, dude, this is
Yeah,
freaking great.
and because of that, I shoot better.
Oh yeah.
Um, it's something about I'm more stable because I can pin myself away from the tree, and
Mhm.
I'm just way more steady. There's always people that before they get into a saddle are like, I can never shoot out of that thing. I just feel like I'm gonna be swinging around. I'm like, dude, do it.
Yeah.
Put your knees up against that tree and lean back, and you're steady as a rock.
Oh, locked in, man. And that's all it takes. And we've talked about it before. Is it's not something you can go and grab and then expect to be hunting out of it the next day. You've got to spend some time practicing. You know, ground level, just locking on a tree, get on a platform just right off the ground. Learn how it feels. Learn how to shoot out of it. Learn how to ascend and descend a tree. Practice those reps. Get it around spring or summer and just spend the spring and summer practicing playing in your backyard or at the park or whatever you need to do. Learn how it works. And then once you're comfortable in it, it's like it's second nature. You don't even think about it anymore. You
Yep.
know, everything just clicks, man, and just you get that system down. And that's as I'm trying to educate people, you know, in my area, I try to help out our local pro shop and promote saddle hunting over there for them guys. And when I'm around, you know, they kind of pick my brain or want me to talk to this person or that person about, hey, how do you do this or that? I'm just like, that's what it takes. You've got to put a little time into it, trust it, learn it, and then, dude, once you're in it, golly, there's nothing better to me. I love
Yeah,
it.
I couldn't imagine climbing a tree with any other equipment. I couldn't imagine hanging a tree stand again. I know John Eberhart says it all the time, but he gets asked if he'd ever hunt out of a tree stand, and he says that's archaic. But I don't know, man. I just think I'm so efficient with it, and I've become comfortable with it, and there's just no other option for me. Or on the ground. I mean, I'm not like uh, I'll say that it's a tool in the toolbox, right? It's not the
It
end all
is.
be all. But I'm also not going to climb a tree with a tree stand. So my toolbox is hunt on the ground or get in the tree with the saddle.
Yeah.
So if I have my saddle on me, I have my sticks on me, and I have my platform on my back, and I decide to hunt on the ground, I don't have a ton of equipment to offload to get on the ground and still have a good setup. You know, that's one of the other benefits to it is if you are using it in a toolbox where you're going to be potentially on the ground, you're not limiting yourself because if you carry a tree stand in, you're going to be like, I carried this thing in here. I'm getting in this tree. It might not be the right tree.
Yeah. Yeah. Tree selection, you open up so many doors with tree selection with a saddle too. And that's another thing I love about it. They're just so you can sit and list all the advantages to it, and it's wide open. So
Are
you
you are you a ring of steps guy or
So I've got a set of ring of steps. Here, my normal setup is I'm a one sticker. So I one stick for the longest time. I was running the Eastern Outdoor stick with the UP platform, and depending on the length of the hunt, if it's going to be 2 to 3 hours, I was just hunting off that UP platform. And sometimes I would deploy a ring of steps, you know, just to help me get around the tree. But now, if I know I'm going to be there 3+ hours, I carry a platform with me. So once I get to hunting height, leave my one stick here and I kind of set my platform beside it, and it almost gives me like two platforms side by side. And
mhm.
that helps me get almost 360 around. Because I usually try to go for like a 16 to 20 inch tree because I'm a pretty wide guy. I want to be broken up behind that tree. But it's still small enough that I can get around with those double platforms, so to speak, that I can get the 360 coverage. So that's kind of where I've landed here lately, is just because that little other platform, it's the Onyx from Trophy Line. It's not that heavy. It's easy to quick set up. I use the attachment method from our guy at Vital Grounds Outdoors. The PSH hitch, that thing is just so slick, dude. It locks that platform down. I mean, it does not move, and I love it. I mean, that's my little system. So.
Yeah, I like that. I do the same thing with my sticks. I'll take my top stick and have that level with my platform, and that'll will be the way that I get to the other side of the tree if I can. If I'm in a giant tree, then I'm just make do with what shot opportunities I have. I try to set up to where I think the deer is actually going to approach from. But if I can help it, I'm trying to find like a baseball or a basketball size tree or a little bit bigger, and have that stick off to my left side so I can get around to the leak side.
And another good thing about the double platform, so to speak, that I was talking about is it helps you can adjust your foot pressure because, and I've not got it linked up yet, but I'm going to be talking with Stephen Lathrop from Lathrop and Sons Boots
Hmm.
about foot pressure. That's probably the one drawback to saddle hunting that I've encountered. That I mean, it's not a ender by any means, but you do have to kind of change your foot pressure from time to time and take the pressure off. But having those double platforms, you can get wide or you can get tight, and you can go into that setting motion, take some pressure off there. So it helps you eliminate some of that stuff, especially on those long rut sets and things like that.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Cool. Well, Cameron, I've had you on for nearly an hour. I can't thank you enough for taking a little time and jumping on here with me, and especially telling us about Hawke and everything Hawke has to offer. Guys, please go and follow Hawke on Facebook, follow on Instagram, check their website out. It sounds like they got offered just some fantastic gear, some fantastic glass, and we want to help Cameron promote this company and everything they have to offer. So, Cameron, from the guys here at the Cartel, thank you for everything you've done up to this point in the outdoor industry and everything you're going to continue to do. And you've got our support here always. So.
I appreciate it, man. If I could leave the listeners with one thing about one additional thing about Hawke, if you're thinking about supporting me and supporting us at Hawke, support your local dealer. And if your local dealer doesn't stock Hawke, ask them to. Ask them
Yeah.
about it. We don't really try to drive sales to our website because the outdoor industry thrives on the pro shops, the mom and pop stores that are selling outdoor products, and those are our customers. Those are the people that are selling our products. So if you are going to support us, check your local Hawke dealer or check your local pro shop, and if they're not stocking Hawke, ask them to, or ask them if they can get something in to order for you. And we're real easy to work with, but we want to make sure that we are supporting the dealer to keep the outdoor industry thriving.
100%. Yeah. If I can, I always try to support my local pro shop. I mean, I love the guys there. I've become super close with them over the years, and I try to run as much as I can through them. And I've even got them into the saddle game now. They're starting to buy into some saddle cups, saddle gear, and sell it from their stores. So I'm going to help promote that end of it. And yeah, I love that message. Support your local pro shop, because these are the people that's we need to get behind.
Yep.
Anything else you want to leave the guests with before we jump off?
No, man, I appreciate the time. I appreciate you giving me the platform to speak on. And if you guys listened to Jake Hofer when he was on previously, revamping the Whitetail podcast or the Exodus podcast, that's going to launch Tuesday,
Oh,
the March 25th. So first episode coming back on that. It's going to be me and Jake talking. So tune in there if you want to hear any more about that stuff.
well, I will. I can't wait to watch and listen to you guys and get you guys back in the game. So that's going to be cool.
Heck yeah.
All right, well, Cameron, I appreciate it. Thanks again. And like I said, please, use us in the Cartel to help promote Hawke. And when you start dropping content, share it on the page. Otherwise, we thank everybody for jumping in and watching. If you're watching live, we appreciate you tuning in live. If you're watching this later, thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Tell us what we can do to make it better. Don't forget, we're wrapping up our March Madness tournaments. I think we're getting ready to start week 4. I don't know. I can't remember. But thanks to our sponsors, Tony from Drawn Archery just dropped the hoodies out to our winners from last week. Ape Canyon's up this week. We got a tether and carabiner from Ape Canyon coming out for the winners this week. And next week, we got some more prizes for next week's winners. So appreciate everybody's participation in that. Otherwise, Cameron, I'll say good night, and we'll be in touch, buddy.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks, everybody.